They looked like the perfect couple, quiet, ordinary, invisible. But behind the walls of their home in San Antonio, something unspeakable was rotting in silence. This isn't a movie. This is real. A husband, a wife, and a secret so dark, it took weeks before anyone even noticed she was gone. This is the story of Charles and Angela Bird, and the house that smelled like death. The truth doesn't hide forever. From whispers to breaking news, this is Now You Know News, your front row seat to the world's darkest stories. It started with a smell. Not the kind you notice right away. It creeps in, faint at first, then stronger, sour, and thick. Neighbors in San Antonio thought maybe something had died in the walls, or that trash had been left out too long in the Texas heat. But after days of complaints, someone called the police to check on the quiet couple at 214 Maple Grove. When officers arrived, the front door was locked, the windows sealed shut, and the air outside already carried a stench that made one deputy step back. Inside, the temperature was unbearable. And in the bedroom, under a mound of blankets and trash bags, they found what used to be Angela Bird. Her husband, Charles, was nowhere to be found. Charles Bird was gone. No note. No car in the driveway. His phone, powered off. Police ran his plates through nearby tolls and traffic cams. Nothing. To neighbors, Charles was quiet, polite, maybe even boring. But detectives quickly learned that silence can hide chaos. Inside the Bird home, drawers were overturned, clothes soaked in bleach, and Angela's phone was found shattered in the sink. On the night she was killed, one neighbor recalled hearing something. A single scream, cut short, and then nothing. When investigators pulled bank records, they found something stranger. Charles had withdrawn $4,000 in cash 2 days before Angela's body was discovered. It wasn't a robbery. It wasn't random. This was a man on the run. As detectives dug deeper into Charles Bird's past, the image of a quiet husband began to crumble. Beneath the routine and small talk, there was another life, one filled with lies, debt, and a woman no one had ever met. Phone records showed late-night calls to a number registered under a fake name. Angela's friends said she'd been talking about leaving him, but that she was scared. She told one coworker, "If something happens to me, it won't be an accident." Then came the biggest break. A surveillance camera from a bus depot, 2 towns away, caught Charles boarding a Greyhound at 2 a.m., carrying a single black duffel bag. The man everyone thought had vanished had simply walked away from his life. For weeks, Charles Bird seemed to vanish into thin air. The U.S. Marshals followed tips from bus stations to motels, each one leading nowhere. But one report caught their attention. A farmer near Amarillo claimed he'd seen a man sleeping in an abandoned barn, matching Charles's description. By the time deputies arrived, the place was empty. Inside, they found empty food wrappers, a burned photo of Angela, and a receipt for gas dated 3 days earlier. Detectives knew what that meant. Charles wasn't just hiding. He was running west. From Texas, the paper trail led through New Mexico and then stopped. No more credit cards. No phone pings. It was as if he'd vanished off the face of the earth. 18 months after the murder, a quiet diner in Flagstaff, Arizona, became the setting for an ending no one saw coming. A man walked in, unshaven, thin, and wearing the same wedding band police had logged in evidence photos. When he sat down, the waitress recognized him instantly, from a face she'd seen on America's Most Wanted. She dialed 911 under the counter, pretending to refill his coffee. When officers arrived, Charles didn't run. He simply looked up and said, "I was tired of running." But what he told investigators next would turn the entire case upside down. He swore he didn't kill Angela. He said she was already dead when he found her. And the person responsible was someone much closer than anyone imagined. Inside the interrogation room, Charles Bird didn't ask for a lawyer. He just wanted water and to tell his story. For the next 3 hours, detectives listened as he painted a picture of a marriage collapsing under the weight of secrets. He said Angela had been distant, paranoid, convinced he was seeing someone else. That night, he claimed, they fought, and she hit her head during the argument. When he realized she wasn't breathing, he panicked. Instead of calling 911, he cleaned the scene and ran. But there was a problem. The autopsy showed Angela had been strangled, not hit. Her injuries didn't match his story. And worse, his fingerprints were found on the cord that ended her life. By the time the trial began, the courtroom was packed. Friends, family, reporters, everyone wanted to see the man accused of killing his wife finally face justice. Prosecutors laid out their case: financial trouble, infidelity, a staged crime scene, and flight across state lines. It all pointed to guilt. But then, the defense took their turn, and that's when things got strange. Charles's attorney claimed Angela had been involved in something dark, that she'd been meeting with a man online who had been blackmailing her. They argued he could have killed her, and Charles just panicked when he found the body. The jury leaned in. Reporters scribbled notes. For a moment, doubt filled the room. But prosecutors fired back, showing a search from Charles's laptop days before the murder, how to make a death look accidental. When the jury finally returned, the courtroom was silent. Charles looked straight ahead, expression unreadable. The foreman stood, holding the verdict form, guilty of second-degree murder. A gasp swept through the gallery. Some wept. Others sighed in relief. Charles's family broke down as deputies led him away in handcuffs. For Angela's family, justice felt hollow. No sentence could bring her back. In interviews, they spoke of the woman she was: kind, driven, always helping others, and how her life had been stolen by the one person she trusted most. After the trial, strange details continued to surface. Letters from Charles to a woman he'd met in prison hinted at denial, maybe even delusion. But the community had moved on, scarred yet wiser. And somewhere in the quiet of that small town, Angela's memory still lingered, not as a headline, but as a reminder of how love, when poisoned by jealousy and lies, can destroy everything in its path. In the end, this wasn't just a story about murder. It was a story about control, obsession, and how the human heart can twist in the dark when it's filled with fear and jealousy. Angela's death left behind more than grief. It left lessons about trust, warning signs, and the quiet dangers that hide in plain sight. Every case we cover here is real. Every name, every heartbreak, every headline. Someone lived it, someone paid the price. And that's why we tell these stories, so they're not forgotten. This is Now You Know News, where the truth isn't just told, it's remembered.